All right, so we can trigger actions in other Zapier apps through a HelpSpot trigger. And we do this using the HelpSpot Webhook tool and then the catching hook trigger inside of Zapier. So let's take a look at how we achieve this. So first of all, I'm in Zapier here and I just have a Zap set up. And you can see I'm using the Webhooks by Zapier app. I'm not using the HelpSpot application here actually. And my trigger event is to catch a hook. And then what Zapier provides us with then is a hook URL. So we would go ahead and copy that hook URL. And at this point, it's time to move over to HelpSpot and set a few things up. All right. So let's go to the admin area and make a few changes. Now, you can trigger a webhook to be sent via any of the actions that are available to you in the triggers tool. So you can get as complicated with this as you want. In this case here, what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to create a custom field that when it's set, I want to go ahead and send a trigger. So let's go ahead and go over to my custom fields here. And I already have a custom field here set up called automation action. And I have a couple of actions here already set up. I'm going to go ahead and just add another one here. And let's also just add a none, just so we have a blank option as well. Okay, so there we go. Let's go ahead and save that field. And now let's go over and set up our trigger. All right, so let's go ahead and look at the trigger that I've already set up to send this webhook data to Zapier. Okay, so first of all, I'm using my custom field that we set up, and I'm saying that when the automation action is changed to send to Google Sheets, then we're going to do a couple of things. First, we'll set the custom field of automation action back to none. And then we will go ahead and post a webhook to the webhook catching URL that we got earlier from inside of Zapier. All right, so let's go ahead and save that trigger. And now we can head back to Zapier. All right, so we have this here. Now we can go ahead and test the trigger. Now, I've already gone ahead and tested this trigger. In most cases, what we would need to do is go back into HelpSpot and change that custom field in a ticket in order to get this test data back. You can see that when Zapier catches the webhook, we get all of these different fields that are all of the fields that are contained in the webhook payload. So we can go ahead and continue. And now I have my action already set up. In this case, my action is just to create a spreadsheet row in Google Sheets. So I have this Google Sheet over here that just has a couple of columns. I have a name column and a request ID column. And you can see here that I'm just adding the name and the request ID. So as we can see here, I have my action set up. I'm just sending it to sheet 1 in the Zapier testing spreadsheet. And I've mapped in a couple of the fields from my catch webhook trigger. All right. So we can go ahead and test this now. And if we head over and look here, we can see that our column was added. All right, so let's go ahead and turn on this Zap and we can see how this works. All right, so now we can go ahead and test this out with an actual ticket. I'm going to go ahead and just select a request from my queue. And we can see that I have my automation action available here. I'm going to go ahead and select Send to Google Sheets. And then I'll go ahead and just update this request. All right, so we can see that my trigger was matched and it performed that webhook action. Now, if we go over and take a look in our Google Sheet, we should see a new row for the customer tester and request ID 14426. All right, and there it is. We have our new row here available in our Google Sheet. So that's a quick overview on how you can catch webhooks from HelpSpot into Zapier and then use that data in another application connection that you have in Zapier.